Ask anyone who's ever played Pokemon Red or Blue before what the hardest part of the game is, and you know what they'll tell you? The Elite Four, obviously. But ask them what the second hardest part of the game is, and most people will tell you that it's the early game. More specifically, it's getting past the first two gym leaders, Brock and Misty. But what if I told you that there was a way to remedy this situation? A way to ensure that not only do you absolutely destroy Brock and his stupid Onix, but just about every other trainer, Pokemon, and gym leader in the game, including the Elite Four. Well, that's what we're gonna do. So join me as I show you a not at all new, fairly well-known glitch for Pokemon Blue that gives you a free level 100 Pokemon before you ever get to the first gym. And then we proceed to go on a rampage and absolutely wreck everyone with it. So, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do to make this work is to boot up your favorite, absolutely not pirated version of Pokemon Red or Blue and start up a new game. Skip through the cutscenes as fast as you can, wake up in your room, and proceed to run out of your house with reckless abandon and head for the tall grass of Route 1, where, upon entering, you'll be stopped by our good friend Professor Oak. Listen to Professor Oak chastise you for going into the woods alone, follow him to his lab, and proceed to collect your very own starter Pokemon. Make sure, for the love of God, you choose Charmander. Oh yeah, and your rival's gonna show up too. Yeah, he's gonna pick a Pokemon as well and force you into a battle. Listen, just go with it and do what you can. It doesn't matter if you win or lose in this version of the game, just get the freaking battle over with. After your battle with your rival, proceed to run carelessly into the tall grass and through Route 1 until you arrive at our first stop, Viridian City. First things first, stop by the Pokemart and be prepared to get harassed by the old man behind the counter until he gives you Oak's parcel. Listen, despite your best attempts, he will force the parcel onto you and proceed to annoy you until you finally agree to be the Pokemart's personal freaking delivery service and deliver the parcel back to Professor Oak. So, now we run the parcel back to Professor Oak, grab the Pokedex, and head back to Viridian City along the treacherous hellscape that is Route 1. Finally, we're past the hard part. Well, actually, not really. We're actually just getting started. But anyway, now that we're back, stop by the Pokemart, pick up some Pokeballs. Trust me, you're gonna need as many of them as you can buy. And maybe a few antidotes if you have some extra money. Then head north to Viridian Forest. Oh, and by the way, there's a path going left out of Viridian City that leads to the Elite Four area. Yeah, just ignore that for now. Trust me, we'll be back there soon enough. Once you arrive at Viridian Forest, proceed to make your way through this hellish, bug-infested nightmare. Oh my god, I cannot tell you how much I hate this place. Make sure to fight every trainer you can along the way to level up your Charmander because we want him somewhere between level 10 and level 12. And it may be helpful at some point to have him get poisoned, because if you're playing Pokemon Blue, finding a Weedle is pretty hard. Anyway, keep going until you reach this point right here. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, go past this point. You will ruin the glitch and you will have to start over from the beginning, and trust me, nobody wants that. Alright, I'm gonna be real with you. This is where things start to get complicated. You're gonna need to run around this area until you find a Weedle, if your Charmander is not already poisoned. And only a Weedle to battle. This can take some time, especially if you're playing Pokemon Blue, but don't give up because it's worth it. Once you finally found yourself a Weedle, proceed to growl at it with your Charmander until it uses Poison Sting and poisons our little guy. After that, we can flee in disgrace. We don't care what happens. After we've run away with our tail between our legs, however, you're gonna go back to this area and stand on this spot. Not the one next to it, not the one behind it, but this spot. In order for this to work, we need our Charmander to take poison damage when we step into the line of sight of the trainer right here, meaning the screen flickers black with the poison animation. Now, realistically, this should happen once every 4 steps. So keep moving, count it out, but make sure that your 3rd step ends on this spot facing towards the trainer so that the next step you take causes the poison damage animation. Once you get that done, please, for the love of God, save your game. If you're using an emulator, save the game, create a save state, do something that's going to make it easy for you to load. Alright, now comes the hard part. And I truly mean it this time. This part is like ridiculously, absurdly hard, man. So, here's exactly what needs to happen at this point. You need to be able to take a step forward, trigger the trainer battle, take poison damage, and encounter a wild Pokemon all at the same time. I know, it sounds crazy, but it is possible, and it does work. The basic strategy here is pretty simple. If you've done everything right, take a step forward, take poison damage, trigger the trainer battle. If you don't encounter a wild Pokemon, reload your save and do it again until it happens, and pray to God it's not a Metapod or a Kakuna. Like I said, it's possible, but it can take some time. I mean, just look at how freaking long it took me to get it. It took me almost an hour, but the results are so worth it. So, after what's gonna seem like an endless eternity of resets, when you finally do encounter your wild Pokemon, here's what you're gonna do. Spam growl until the Pokemon faints your Charmander. That's it. If you've done everything right, when you white out, you should see the trainer's little exclamation mark still on the screen, like the trainer battle is still being triggered. You should arrive back at Viridian City at the Pokemon Center. Before you get too excited, do not go back to the forest yet. You remember that little side road we came across that I said would lead us to the Elite Four? Yeah, it's finally time to go down that route. So get those little legs moving over there as fast as you can and prepare to get your ass handed to you by your rival. Again! On purpose this time, though. Here's the strategy at this point. Face off against your rival, and you need to use Charmander to feint his first Pokemon. And then, he should send out Squirtle. And that's where things get tricky. You need to survive against Squirtle long enough to land 6, that's right, 6 freaking growls against his Squirtle before he KOs your Charmander. I would highly recommend saving your game before facing off against your rival in the very, very likely event that you don't get this on your first try. After you've landed your 6th growl, however, let Squirtle faint your Charmander and head back to the Pokemon Center one last time. And after that, after all the hard work, chaos, specific movements, and bullshit RNG manipulation, it is finally time to claim your prize. Make sure you have your Pokeballs in hand, head back to Viridian Forest, save before entering, and, if everything was done correctly, as soon as you enter, the trainer battle should commence and you should be greeted by the most beautiful sight you'll ever see. A level 1 Gengar. Now, I know what you're gonna say. But DK, you told me this would be a level 100 Pokemon. Yeah, I know. Just trust me on this one, okay? Start the battle and use every Pokeball you have to try and catch this guy, because there's no guarantee that any of your Pokeballs are actually going to hit. And once you've got him, that's that. We're almost done. After catching Gengar, put him as the lead in your party, and in Viridian Forest, encounter some wild Pokemon. Doesn't matter which one it is. Switch him with your Charmander and feint it to get some XP. And boom, he goes from level 1 to level 100. Just like that. Now, you may be asking yourself at this point, well, now that I have a level 100 Gengar in my party, what do I do? And the answer to that question is really simple. You own everyone. And I mean everyone in your path, including the Elite Four. So there you have it, a foolproof, repeatable way of getting a level 100 Pokemon before Brock in every single playthrough of Pokemon Red or Blue that you do. You can do this process with Bulbasaur as well, instead of Charmander, but you'll end up with a Nidoking instead of a Gengar, and honestly, Nidoking's not as good of a level 100 Pokemon as Gengar is.